So you mentioned, Stefan, that the booth also highlights presses specific to the EV market. Metal Forming Magazine and Simpac hosted a couple of webinars earlier this year specific to the EV market and how stampers need to prepare for the upcoming changes that will occur with production ramp up for EVs. Can you explain a little bit about which press systems are preferred for EV production, and has the forecasted data that you provided during the webinars proven to be accurate in regards to production opportunities and challenges for metal forming companies?
Well, that's definitely a mouthful, Brad. Let me tell you. I mean, that's a big question. So why don't we first of all talk about the EV market, what type of presses we're offering. Sure. Okay. First of all, as you see here, we have the CX series press, which we tried to mimic here in our booth. Right. We also have the MC2 series press, okay, which is a slightly bigger but a monoblock frame press that is also for the EV industry. Both of these press systems are for small to medium parts. So when you look at a battery tray, so a big battery tray, that's for larger parts. But inside that battery tray, I have the little small cylinders and the containers for all the battery for the battery components themselves. All of those would be made off the MC2 or the CX series press. Now the bigger battery trays, those would be made off of the DTE or the DTL series presses. You can also obviously use the servo presses for that. Now, you asked a little bit about what we see in the market and how we see things moving forward. Well, that's actually a very interesting question because Jamie Bartholomew, my inside sales and marketing manager, and myself, we have hosted 2 EV webinars so far. We did that all during the pandemic. That was discussing how we saw the EV market increasing over the next 5, 10, 15, even 20 years. And at the time that we put this presentation together, and with all the current data that we had at the time, we saw some pretty massive growth. And to be quite honest, deep down inside, I thought, maybe that's a little bit aggressive. But when I'm looking at companies such as Volkswagen and General Motors, just to name 2, that have now all of a sudden stated that between 2030 and 2035, they're going to have their entire portfolio go over to EV vehicles. When I start seeing that, I almost think that the actual curve that we were showing for EV production, okay, whether for stampers or for actual volumes for cars, is maybe a little bit on the conservative side. Now, of course, the one thing that we also have to take into context is not just the fact that the companies want to build EV vehicles. It's really easy to build it, but you still have to be able to charge it. So infrastructure also has to be increased. Okay, that's a complete different ball of wax there. But those are things that, those are good discussion points for governments and industry to have.